The Trump team would be saying the same thing, and I think any fair person covering it would be saying the same thing as well. What were you thinking? This doesn't have to do with race. This doesn't have to do with gender. This is about a prosecutor who is prosecuting Donald Trump, foolishly and recklessly picking a special prosecutor she is allegedly romantically involved with. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the case should be dismissed over it, but it sure shows a lack of judgment, if not worse. Joining me now is Darrell Cohn. He served as an assistant district attorney in Fulton County and is now a criminal defense attorney who had been representing one of the defendants in the case but is no longer involved. Thanks very much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. All right, so how big a deal is this?
All right, my friends, thanks for joining me again. We have been talking about this case out of Fulton County, right, in Atlanta, Georgia, pertaining to Fulton County DA Fani Willis. Now, Fani Willis has brought a serious Rico case against former President Donald Trump and 20-some other individuals. Some of these individuals are simply grandmothers, grandfathers, elderly individuals, or people that Donald Trump may have worked with directly or indirectly. My understanding is some of the people Donald Trump does not even know. But this prosecutor, this DA, Fani Willis, decided to take it upon herself to go ahead and go after Donald Trump, not for some little crime, not for some normal felony charge, if there's such a thing, but she took out a RICO action against Donald Trump. The RICO action is something that is used generally for mobsters. Now, this is how these laws end up passing state legislators, is they say, hey, we need these tools. We have prosecutors that will use these tools with discretion. We'll be very careful if and when we use these type of tools, because these RICO laws are brutal and they carry with them extremely heavy financial penalties and, most importantly, criminal penalties. These people are fighting to stay out of prison for the rest of their life. They're fighting for their families. They're fighting for their careers. They're fighting not to be put into a cage. And as you may know by now, Fani Willis has been caught with her boyfriend, Nathan Wade, allegedly at this point, essentially paying her lover boy, Nathan Wade, who she hired as the special prosecutor, $1 million of Fulton County taxpayer money. And then she ends up going out with him, going on cruises, going to the Napa Valley. Obviously, she is benefiting from this case financially and otherwise. And this is the definition of corruption. These prosecutors are not even supposed to have the appearance of any type of impropriety. And this is prima facie corruption. Specifically, this is something called honest service fraud. You're welcome to look it up. I will have videos coming out about that exact subject in short order. But today I want to continue what we've been discussing. My buddy Dan Abrams, he has an excellent video that we have started to dive into a little bit pertaining to this case. And he's not exactly Mr. Conservative. His views, I would say, are rather liberal. He's on ABC Good Morning America a lot. But let's continue and let's listen to what he has to say about this crazy development in this Fani Willis BS persecution of Donald Trump.
Willis is alleged to have engaged in a romantic relationship with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade while he was married. Attorneys for Michael Roman, a former Trump state campaign official, was indicted on 7 felony counts trying to overturn the 2020 election, filed a motion last week to have his charges dismissed, claiming the district attorney and the special prosecutor have engaged in an improper, clandestine, personal relationship during the pendency of the case, which has resulted in the special prosecutor and in turn the DA profiting significantly from this prosecution at the expense of taxpayers. The lawsuit alleges that since being appointed, the special prosecutor has been paid an estimated $1 million in legal fees, and that the two of them used some of that money to purchase tickets for both of them to travel on both the Norwegian and Royal Caribbean cruise lines. The suit goes on to claim that Willis failed to obtain the required approval to appoint the special prosecutor and that Wade was unqualified for the role. I mean, never handled this type of racketeering case, but Willis defended Wade's credentials.
Yeah, before he goes any further, I want to clearly point out that she hired this boyfriend of hers. His name is Nathan Wade. He is an attorney. If you go to his website, it's clear that this guy's an ambulance chaser. Number one thing on his website is personal injury. He has a few other small things, but it's basically personal injury. It does say criminal defense on there, but I can assure you, I looked at his website. I am not an attorney myself, but I know a lot about the legal profession. I have a lot of friends in the legal profession, and in my professional career during my life, I have had a lot of experience, good and bad, with the civil court system specifically, and I have friends that are criminal defense lawyers, so I can tell you exactly how things work that other licensed attorneys probably could not share with you because they would fear some kind of retribution. But I can assure you of the following. This is bad news for Fani Willis. This is bad news for Nathan Wade. This is a prosecutor that has clearly engaged in honest service fraud and has engaged in corruption. If these allegations are true, this is terrible news for her and great news for former President Donald Trump. This case cannot go forward in its present form. We'll just have to wait and see how things develop, but I will also mention to you, it has currently been set, I believe it's February 2nd. The court has looked at what the allegations are, and the court said, hey, we need you, Miss DA Fani Willis, to go ahead and put in writing exactly your response to these allegations. And on February 15th, they have set it for an actual court hearing. So stay tuned to this channel. I will definitely bring you all the juicy, salacious details.
The pulpit on Sunday.
The black man I chose has been a judge more than 10 years, run a private practice more than 20, represented businesses in civil litigation. I ain't done, y'all. Served as a prosecutor, a criminal defense lawyer, special assistant attorney general.
Oh man, there is a lot. There's a lot here. Let me start off by telling you, when you are a judge, as she's describing it, these are special magistrate judges. This is nothing. Basically, they're a substitute judge. They come in, they're listening to traffic tickets. Generally speaking, they may listen to some small civil type claims. It is not what she's trying to make it out to be. This guy, as I said earlier, is your typical ambulance chaser. He makes his money, or has made his money in the past, by basically pursuing what you would call injury cases, personal injury cases. That's generally where the big money is as an independent attorney. He has no experience, none that I could find, none that the press is reporting, what I will call the legacy press. None, no, zero experience as far as prosecuting even one felonious case. So no matter what she tells you, she hired a guy that has no experience in this particular situation, specifically Rico cases. He has not handled any Rico cases, yet she goes ahead, skips the county process to actually bring in a special prosecutor. And what does she do? She hires him of her own volition, and it turns out there's a reason for this process. This guy is her lover boy, and she's surprised that she's got caught. So she goes to church, and she's basically blaspheming. That's what she's doing. She's taking the name of God in vain. Obviously, this is my opinion, but this is my opinion just the same. When I go to church, generally my pastor is trying to bring me closer to Jesus. He's trying to save my soul. He's trying to help me get to heaven. Obviously, Fani Willis is at a different type of church. I'm sure she has been to heaven, but if I am understanding everything correctly, she has been seeking out a different type of heaven. If you understand what I'm saying, we'll just have to see how this all develops.
One Chief Justice Robert Benham Award from the State Bar of Georgia. You know, they ain't just giving this to black men.
Look, it's definitely not about race, all right? But I wonder, could it be about gender, right? The possibility if this was a man, maybe the DA wouldn't be under fire. But let's play this out, right? If special counsel Jack Smith was having a relationship and hired the married woman he was having an affair with to be a special prosecutor on his case, the Trump team would be saying the same thing, and I think any fair person covering it would be saying the same thing as well. What were you thinking? This doesn't have to do with race. This doesn't have to do with gender. This is about a prosecutor who is prosecuting Donald Trump, foolishly and recklessly picking a special prosecutor she is allegedly romantically involved with. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the case should be dismissed over it, but it sure shows a lack of judgment, if not worse. Joining me now is Daryl Cohn. He served as an assistant district attorney in Fulton County and is now a criminal defense attorney who had been representing one of the defendants in the case but is no longer involved. Thanks very much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. All right, so how big a deal is this?
I think it has legs because Fani chose not to see what was directly in front of her. She created a hurricane, and we all know that hurricanes are predictably unpredictable, but they are going to end, and they do start. So what has she done? I'm not sure what she was thinking. And by the way, Fani's a friend of mine, and I'm disappointed. At best, the optics are bad. I don't think it's going to matter in terms of how the case is prosecuted ultimately. I don't think it will matter in terms of what the verdict will be. But I do think it matters now because credibility is everything.
Thank you for watching.
I personally agree with a lot of what this attorney just said and what Dan Abrams has been talking about. This case, in my opinion, is over. It is the case that the judge might say, hey, okay, we're going to go ahead and remove Fani Willis and her lover boy, attorney Nathan Wade, the prosecutor. I'm going to take these people. I'm going to remove them off the case, but I'm going to hand it off to someone else to prosecute. I can assure you, it's been my deliberate experience in my life. No attorney wants to be in that situation. As a matter of fact, the reason she used, the justification she used to hire 3 special prosecutors was because no attorney she knew wanted to take this case because they know this case is garbage. They know this case is not prosecution, it's persecution. They know this case is not about justice, it's about election interference. That is exactly what the facts are, and the vast majority of attorneys know that. So what did she decide to do? Well, if the allegations are true again, she decided to hire her lover boy, pay him $1 million, and basically put a bunch of that money in their pockets, or at least use it for vacations, Napa Valley, cruises, dinners, whatever. It's all going to come out sooner or later. See, the reason this all came to light was because one of the individuals she decided to run over with this indictment was a Michael Roman, who's represented by attorney Ashley Merchant. Now, you got to understand, Michael Roman was not indicted by the grand jury. They would not indict him. Did that influence Fani Willis's thinking? No, she didn't care. She went ahead and charged him with Rico anyways. Well, he had the good fortune of hiring this attorney, Ashley Merchant, who did what I would have done. She went through public records, and she found that the day after Nathan Wade was hired as special prosecutor on this case, he went ahead and filed for divorce from his soon-to-be ex-wife. And you know how it is when you have a mad ex, specifically a mad ex-wife. What's the expression? Hell has no fury like a scorned woman? Well, he's about to find that out. So it's not like there's no proof in this particular case. This attorney, Ashley Merchant, who has ethics she has to go by, has looked at these papers. She has copies of these papers, but she's not disseminating them at this point because for some reason a court has sealed these records. Now, again, I don't want to go off on this tangent, but yet it's another example of how wealthy, connected, the ruling class, if you will, are treated different than you or me are treated. I've never heard of a divorce case in the state of Georgia where they sealed the documents. It's just not done. I've never heard of it. The other attorneys I've talked to have never heard of it. This case has to be unsealed. These records will be released, and we will get to the bottom of this. Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, you guys are criminals, and you are going to get what's coming to you. And even if you are not criminally prosecuted, which I think is a shame, you should have a Rico case taken out against you directly, and you should pay the highest price, including but not limited to losing your law license, because you are both a disgrace to the profession and the lives that you have upset and the people you have caused extreme pain, discomfort, financially and otherwise to. Shame on you both. You people are terrible. That's my opinion. Folks, if you haven't done so already, be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, subscribe, share this with anybody you know that's indoctrinated and they need to know the truth. I'm here to help you understand exactly what's going on in your life, because when you understand better, you can live better. Until next time, my friends, remember, keep that mind free, never give up. I am J.R. Dukes.